Hi everyone! Fedora 36 is finally here, and it's a flagship distro from the Fedora project and sponsored by Red Hat. I'm going to mark this occasion by going into a very thorough test drive, where I demonstrate what I consider some of the most important things to configure post-install to give you, the viewers, a realistic feel as to what Fedora 36 Workstation is all about. After all that, I will leave you with my overall impressions and recommendations. Let's get started. So here is the familiar grub menu. Start Fedora Workstation Live 36. Test this media and start Fedora Workstation Live 36, which I already did. Media is okay. You can also troubleshoot by loading the safe graphics drivers if we need to. So let's go with the first option and get right into it. So again, this is a Tiano Core UEFI-based kernel virtual machine. And, I like to use KVM because of performance reasons. So before we install, let's go into settings. And first of all, let me click on power here and make sure the screen doesn't blank on us during the install. That would not make for a good demonstration. Screen resolution, let's make it 1920 by 1080. Click apply here and we'll keep the changes. And to make things a little more visible for you guys, hopefully, I'll turn on high contrast and large text under the accessibility menu. And I just click on About here quickly so you can see I'm using the official Fedora 36 Workstation Edition installer ISO. And yeah, there you go. That's what my virtual machine looks like. Let's go ahead and click on Install to Hard Drive. And Anaconda's loaded. Welcome to Fedora 36. English is the language and English keyboard. So localization is successfully detected. And you got the English keyboard, yes. America, Los Angeles time zone is also correctly detected because we have a working network connection. So we've got VDA for a virtual disk, 32 gigs I've configured. We'll stick with automatic today. If you want to configure for time shift or snapper, you want Libre GUI. That's covered in other videos, both on this channel and other great Linux channels out there on YouTube and elsewhere. And today, I also like to encrypt my data. Check out how that works. So for the disk encryption passphrase, I'm going to enter my passphrase here and enter it twice. And as a little warning reminder, you won't be able to switch between keyboard layouts from the default one when you decrypt your disks after install. Okay, good reminder. So US keyboard it is. That's fine by me. I don't plan on installing any other keyboard today. Okay, we're good for beginning installation. This will take some time as it partitions the disk, installs the software, does some network configuration, etc., etc. And it's complete. So I'll click Finish Installation. It invites us to reboot. We won't do that yet because I need to do some additional configuration with the BTRFS mount points. I found that if I don't make some modifications to the mount points, there's some issues with stability and boot hangs. So VDA1 shows that it's used, the first partition is used for the boot EFI file system, FAT32. VDA2, the second partition, physical partition, is for the ext4 boot partition. And the VDA3 partition is encrypted, LUX encrypted, and that handles sysroot. So root file system and the home file system. So that's where all our Btrfs file systems, or subvolumes, are located, rather. So let's go to /mount/sysroot/etc, and let's edit with nano the file system table. So I don't agree, especially if you have an SSD, I don't agree with these Fedora default settings. So what I do for my hardware, this works great for me, is I just keep it with Z standard as the compression, no access time, and discard equals async. So that's for the root Btrfs volume, subvolume, and also we'll do the same with copy and paste with the home subvolume. Very easy. So it looks good. And the other needed mount options will be included automatically when the kernel loads the Btrfs file systems. I'll show you in a moment. Good. So now we're ready to restart. Again, if I don't do this with a file system table, I get all kinds of weirdness, bit rot, and hangs, or GDM hangs, etc., on my physical bare metal machines. Your experience may be different. You may not need to do this. Okay, it's asking for the disk encryption passphrase. So let me enter that. And looks like it took it. All right, there we go. So welcome to Fedora Linux 36. So there's the quick setup that we have to go through. Here's first is the privacy screen, where you can select location services and automatic problem reporting. You can turn those off if you prefer additional privacy. Also third-party repositories, you can enable them here. So external sources, popular apps, drivers for some devices, some proprietary softwares included, such as NVIDIA, Steam, Google Chrome are some examples for where you can get from third-party repositories. So let's click Next. So I enabled those. Connect to your online accounts. So we've got option for Google, Nextcloud, or Microsoft. Well, I won't do that today, so I'll skip it. But it's there if you need it. About me. Well, I'm Steven, as you guys know, and so my username will be Steven. I'll click Next, and I'll give myself a decent password here. And enter it twice to make sure I didn't make a typo. Click Next. We're all done. It's ready to be used. Start using Fedora Linux. Okay. Welcome to GNOME 42. If you want to learn your way around, check out the tour. I and many of others have done this to death, so I'm going to skip it today. Yeah, the usual keyboard shortcuts for switching spaces works, so everything seems to work here. Right, let me go to Settings before we do anything else. We go to Appearance. To reduce eye strain for myself, reduce screen glare, I'm going to switch to dark mode, and I'll select the Lib Adwaita wallpaper, which seems to be not so much in your face. So under sharing, I like to turn on sharing for this workstation, and I'm going to change the computer name to Fedora 36. And we also have the option for file sharing. GNOME 42 has this new option. This is very handy to have. Using WebDAV, you can do file sharing. And you can select which connections you use to share with the network. Also, remote desktop is relatively new, or new for GNOME 42. This is a Microsoft remote desktop protocol. So you can select remote desktop, remote control, and it gives you hints on how to connect. Again, this is MS-RD protocol for Microsoft and the authentication. Also media sharing. You can also share your music, videos, and pictures folders in addition to other folders using the connection of your choice. Okay, what I'd like to do, of course, today is to enable remote secure shell login. I always turn that on when I'm just configuring a workstation. In case something goes wrong, I can remote login and fix from the shell, remote shell. Okay, under power, let me turn off screen blanker so it doesn't go away on us today. Under displays, the resolution, I like to, again, make it 1920 by 1080. We'll keep those changes since it works. I like to turn on nightlight. And then under accessibility, I turn on large text so you guys can see more of what I'm doing. And then, yes, software updates are ready to install. Then I click on date and time. And yeah, automatic date and time is enabled automatically. Pacific Daylight Time, Los Angeles is correct. Locations settings are working. And I'll click on About here. So the device name is, yes, Fedora 36, as changed earlier. We're running Fedora 36 Workstation Edition. Their flagship, one of their flagships. Server and cloud are the other two flagships for Fedora project. Okay, so let's take care of the updates. So the GNOME software enables us to install, 16 updates, including the system group. So let's do that. So it's restarting. A lot of people have problems with this, don't like this because it reminds them too much of Microsoft Windows. I say to that, let me just log in here, if I can type it right. I say to that it's safer to do major system updates offline. So you make sure that when you're installing the updates, that no files are open and in use when you're in a desktop session, which always concerns me somehow. So it's safer in general, safe idea to do it this way. Now, if you really prefer not to do this offline updates, all you do is just open up the terminal and issue a sudo dnf upgrade. And that'll do a live upgrade of your system. Again, if you don't like this, you're not forced to use this. This is a choice. And I tend to do this just to be, as I said, already to be on the safe side. Okay, it's almost done. Bunch of updates. Okay, so it reboots. So let me enter my disk decryption password, passphrase. There we go. All right, I'll log in. That's myself. And since this is a KVM and for demonstration, I will turn off Wayland and just stick with Xorg. Since we're not exploring Wayland today. Okay, well, yeah, software updates have been installed. Let's review them. So yeah, a bunch of updates. Again, your update requirements may be different depending on when you install. It's just being released. So things are still in flux. Okay, well, we're up to date. All right, so what's next? Let's open up a terminal. There we go. Let me make this a little bigger the font size, that is. Elongate this window. So I use the left half of the screen roughly. And next I will check the kernel version. uname-a shows kernel version 5.17.5-300 for Fedora Core 36. So this is the most recent one as of this video recording. Mount grep home, as promised, here are the options that are automatically enabled. So in addition to no access time, we've got compress equals Z standard third level. Discard is asynchronous, of course, and space cache equals version 2 is automatically added by the kernel when it mounts the Btrfs file system. That's automatic. So you don't have to specify that in the file system table. It will also show SSD if you have a bare metal SSD drive. It gets automatically enabled. Swap is on ZRAM, compressed in system memory. Free-H shows 1.1 gigabytes used and no swap. Yeah, nothing unusual here. Pretty reasonable usage considering this is a full GNOME 42 workstation system. Let's clear the terminal and let's sudo nano etc dnf.conf because I want to improve the performance of DNF and do some simultaneous parallel downloads. So to do that, I add the following line, max underscore parallel underscore downloads equals 10. That looks all right. So we'll just exit out of here after saving the file. Okay. So let's clear the terminal. Now what we're going to do is we're going to launch Firefox because we want to enable necessary additional repositories, at least that I think are necessary. Namely, we'll start with Fusion, the Fusion repositories. So in order to do that, let me just open up the Firefox web browser. Move that over here to the right side. I'm doing a bunch of copy-paste to save some time, make this video not quite as long as it could be, hopefully. So I'm going to go to https://rpmfusion.org/C configuration rather, and hit enter, and there we go. These are the instructions for enabling the free and non-free RPM Fusion repositories. We can do the graphical setup, but that's no fun. I'm going to do it using Fedora's Dnf utility in the terminal. So I'm just going to copy paste from the website. And yeah, the repositories, the Fedora repositories are in heavy use these last couple of days because everybody and their neighbor is trying out the latest Fedora 36 release. So your patience is appreciated here. I'll try to edit out as much as possible to keep this video trimmed down. Yeah. Okay, so RPM Fusion free and non-free release 36 is installed. So next, what they recommend, and I always do, is update the AppStream metadata for the GNOME software and KDE Discover, as they say. So sudo dnf group update core does the trick. That way I've got a full complement of available software in GNOME Software Center. Yeah, so it installs some keys, imports some GPG keys, and then it installs the whole thing. So there we go. multimedia post install. That's what I want to do as well, because I'm doing a lot of multimedia stuff with my workstations. So yes, this is okay. Yeah, copy paste makes things a lot easier and quicker. All right. Yeah, a little bit of patience. We got all these 51 packages installed. Come on. Should be about ready now. Okay, there it goes. Those poor repositories and mirrors, they're being hit very hard right now, as you can imagine. Okay, then we also do the group update sound and video. That's what they recommend. That's what we'll do. And it's done. Okay, so those are the additional repositories I install right from the outset. But we also like to install FlatHub, or I would rather install FlatHub. Or we do that by going to this website, flatpak.org/setup/Fedora. We can download and install this FlatHub repository file, but to keep things consistent, I'll just use the terminal method. So I'll put this, copy paste this into the shell and hit return or enter. And it asks for the password. And there we go. So now we have access to FlatHub as well. Okay, let's see. So for the next step, we clear the terminal and let me do a DNF repo list. So for your reference, these are all the repositories that are now available to the system for package installation. As you can see, there's NVIDIA drivers, Steam, Chrome, Google Chrome, etc., etc. So fairly comprehensive. So every time I do a major repository configuration change on a system, I just reboot. You may not have to do that. I like to err on the side of caution. Okay, doesn't take too long, right? We have time today. Okay, so we're logging back in. Let me do that. Okay, and we are back. So let's start the software program, which has been supercharged with all the additional repositories and also FlatHub. So first things first, let me look for what do I want? Oh yeah, tweaks. We always need GNOME tweaks, right? So let me install the Fedora Linux RPM version. There's a FlatHub version as well, but the RPM version is fine today. So let me open that. It's installed. So the extensions has moved. Extensions management has been moved to GNOME extensions. We recommend downloading GNOME extensions from FlatHub if your distribution does not include it. Fedora 36 Workstation does not include it, so we'll do this next. So we'll get back to tweaks in a bit. Let me go back to the search box, and next I'm going to type extensions and see what we have. There it is. The second item there, extensions from the GNOME project. And they want it from FlatHub, or they suggest from FlatHub, so we'll do that. We'll install the Flatpak version from dl.flathub.org. And I click on install. Very simple. And there we go. So let's open it. Click it again. Make sure it takes. Okay, so those are our extensions. Extensions are turned on. We've got some built-in extensions. So the background logo is on. but everything else is off. Okay, good enough. We'll leave that where it is. All right, what's next? I also like to install Menu Libre so I can modify the launcher and the command lines, etc., for all the GNOME software that I have installed on my system. So the RPM version is fine. Let me open that and show you what I mean. So Menu Libre looks like this. So as an example, if you go into Internet, and then you click on Firefox, so here you've got the application details for Firefox, browse the web, the command that it issues when you click on the Firefox icon in the interface, Firefox %u. You have all these options, your category and description. Under actions, so for new window, this is the command it uses. New private window, that's the command, and Open Profile Manager is this command. If you want to enable video acceleration, etc., you can do that via the command line or things like that. So I find it very handy to have a menu editor like Menu Libre installed on the system. Just a strong suggestion from me to you. I also use OBS Studio. Like today, I'm using it to record this video. So let me install the Flatpak version of OBS Studio. And then when that's done, I will let's go back and also install my favorite editor, one of my favorites, which is KDNLive. So let me install that now. Also the Flat Hub version. That seems to be the latest and well-maintained version. So I'll just click install. One of my favorite KDE applications. Fantastic piece of software. Okay, so we're good with that for now. So let's go ahead and launch Firefox again. I won't open the previous tabs. What I want to do is install the GNOME extensions Firefox plugin. So I'm going to go into https://extensions.gnome.org. And let's install the extension. Click here. Yeah, continue to installation. We want to do this. Yes, we'll add it. And we'll allow this extension to run in private windows, just in case I forget I'm in a private window and I still have access. So there's the extension for Gnomeshell. When you click it, that opens up a new tab. As you can see, we've got the following extensions available to us. So I like to install. Again, the more extensions you install, the less stable the system might become. I haven't had any issues, but you may want to stop here if stability is paramount to you and you're happy with the default GNOME experience. So next, I'm installing the extension list. And so user themes, extension list. I also like the system tray icons, app indicator, notifier, item support. So I like to install that. There's a lot of software out there still dependent on a tray icon. So we have that. Removable drive menu is also what I like to install. Again, your choices may be completely different. To each his own or her own. Also like to install Arc menu. There we go. For more traditional experience. There's the Arc menu button on the top left, ready to go. Moving right along. I also like to install the No Overview at Startup, because I'll be installing the Dash to Panel shortly. So that removes the overview when you log in. Let's see, I'm also going to search for blur my shell. Seems to be very popular amongst the people out there. So I'll install that. Haven't played with it too much, but there it is. And dash to panel. Let's install that to make it a little more traditional in look and feel. So that puts a panel down at the bottom, removes the top bar. Good. All right. So here is my extension list. So I'll leave this here for a few seconds. You can pause the video. This is the list of all my extensions I have installed. The dot ones are the new, freshly installed packages. All right, so let's right-click on the panel and click Dash to Panel Settings. And what I'd like to do is get rid of Show Applications. So I'll disable that. There it goes, and it's gone now. And under Style, those icons are kind of far apart, so I want to move them together using the icon margin slider. And we're good with the Dash to Panel settings today. That button's a little bit small, so I'm going to right-click on it and go Button Settings. I'm going to change it to the Fedora distro icon, since we're running Fedora. Let's be proud. Why not? That's a tiny Fedora button. So let's fix that by setting the icon size to, let's make it 36. Hit enter. That's more like it. Now the icon, the start button fits with the other icons on the panel. For layouts, so this one's kind of Windowsy. I'm not too happy with it. I prefer the XFCE's Whisker menu layout. Got used to that since I'm running XFCE so often in my life. So I'll select Whisker as the current menu layout. That looks a little better for me. Again, you've got a whole bunch of layouts to experiment with, and hopefully you find one that works for you. All right, so let me go to Utilities, and let me launch Terminal. Again, all this can be edited with Menu Libre, as I showed earlier. So I've pinned this to dash, and you can always undo it again. I'm going to fix the preferences here. So the profiles that I'm running right now is called unnamed. So let's name it. I'll make it Steven's profile. Rename. Okay, so what I want to do for this profile is do custom font, monospace 12. That's a very nice size. We'll disable a terminal bell because I don't like loud noises. Neighbors don't like it either. For colors, I'll do transparent background. And you won't really see it with the Libre wallpaper. But if you have a nice fancy wallpaper, maybe a little transparency might make things look a little better. I like to not show the scroll bar, and also not limit the scrolling history. So there we go. That's my basic terminal preferences that I tend to do. Let's go back into tweaks that we installed earlier. And I want to go to Appearance, check things out here. Yeah, so for legacy applications, GTK 2 and 3, I'd like Adwaita Dark to match the dark theme from the main system, GTK 4. Under fonts, it looks pretty good here in terms of the hinting, slight hinting. I like LCD screens and I use them, so Subpixel is the anti-aliasing method I choose here. For the window title bars, maximize and minimize button are handy to have. And for Windows, I like to change the focus to focus on hover. You can also raise windows when focused if you wish. Okay, so we're good with tweaks for now. Since I changed the font hinting anti-aliasing, what I like to do is restart my session by logging out and logging back in again to make sure everything's taken. This is an X11 session, not Wayland, so we need to restart the session a little more often. I heard that Wayland, you can do a lot of changes on the fly. It's one of the benefits of Wayland. Okay, so let's launch the terminal and make it full screen. Some tricks to show you guys. DNF. So DNF History shows you in reverse chronological order the package database transactions that you've done with the system. Comes in really handy as a record of what packages you installed and on the system. So, you know, you can leave a breadcrumb trail from where you started. So what you can do is, for example, supposing we install neofetch with sudo dnf install neofetch. Let me enter my password. So this installs 30 packages, right? So make some changes to your system. 30 packages is not a small number. Neofetch relies on a lot of these things. It's a shell script, right? So it relies on a lot of these packages to get the information it needs to display. So when I type neofetch, it gives you this pretty printout. So this is what we're running. So nothing unusual here. So let's do another DNF history. And as you can see, ID number 9 shows our most recent operation with the package database on the system, databases on the system. So 30 packages have been installed when we did a neofetch. So let's say, oops, I made a mistake. I didn't want to install neofetch. Neofetch did something bad with my system. I want to get rid of it. Well, here's one thing you can do is sudo dnf history undo 9. So that undoes your latest operation. And as you can see, it proposes to remove 30 packages. So let it do that. So we've just kind of rolled back the system, the RPM database system, to before we install neofetch. As you can see, neofetch is no longer on the system. User bin neofetch is cached by the shell. So let's do a DNF history. And there is number 10, the history for undoing number 9. Oops, I made a mistake. I didn't mean to uninstall neofetch. Let me undo it again. So I can do that by sudo dnf history undo 10. And sure enough, it will reinstall those 30 packages. And those package mirrors are really heavily used today. Your patience is appreciated. There we go. All right, so let's clear the terminal and type neofetch, and it's back. So again, this is not a file system level rollback. This is a RPM database rollback. So, you know, if you want to do file system rollbacks, that's other videos are handling that for Snapper or Timeshift, etc., etc. Yeah, we've got other videos out there, including on this channel, for doing that if you wish. But I thought I'd show you this nifty DNF feature or function for doing system rollbacks. All right, so let's do sudo dnf install deja dupe, because no workstation installation is complete without a backup program, at least one. So for easy usage, anybody can use deja dupe, so that's why I like to install it. Backups are critical for your security and disaster recovery. So utilities has a new program installed. That's what that dot is for. And it's called backups. That's deja dupe. So if I click about backups, you can see it's deja dupe backups, version 43.2 from the RPM repository from Fedora. We click on preferences, general. See here you can select the storage location. You can store your backups on Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive, network server is what I generally do, like a NAS, or a local folder, which is pointless because if you have disk failure, it's on a local folder, you can't recover from there. Keeping backups you can do forever or at least 3 months, which is what most organizations require. You can also schedule automatic backups. So you can do weekly, daily, every 2 days, every 3 days. So it's fairly flexible. Again, not the most sophisticated backup program in the world. There are Btrfs send receive programs out there that have a more fancy way of and quick way of backing things up. So here you can choose the folders to back up, folders to ignore. You can add folders here to your heart's content if home is not sufficient. Again, make sure all your critical data and documents are regularly backed up, especially when you're experimenting with Linux like I'm doing today. Okay, so there you go. And that, folks, is that when it comes to test driving Fedora 36 workstation. This video is really long, and I only scratched the surface of all the features this flagship distro has. While not perfect by any means, the goal with Fedora 36 Workstation is a solid, just works Linux desktop experience, especially for developers. If you don't like GNOME, most of the other major desktop environments are provided by a generous number of spins. For myself, I believe they have reached their goals, and Fedora 36 provides an amazing mix of leading-edge technologies while maintaining exemplary stability without having to constantly chase the bleeding edge. As part of my evaluation, I recorded and edited this video on Fedora 36, and it was a perfect experience for me. Maybe it will fit you as well. Let me know in the comments. And be sure to subscribe and smash the like button, and don't forget to hit the bell for notifications. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.